What's going on? Um, make this short and sweet. I'm going to be talking about the four quarters in life and overtime, of course. So I talked about this in a previous video, and basically, I kind of learned this from BGS Itmore. Talked about this years ago, and this is just kind of a reminder, as well as kind of insightful, and it's basically the four quarters of life. The starting point is when you're a baby, and you basically are an infant up until 15 years of age. This is a stage that is really hard for a lot of parents. This is pretty much um, very critical for child development, um, you know, infant development, as well as teenage development. This is where it shapes a good portion of what you're going to be as an adult. You have a good idea of where you are as far as a young youth, what your talents are, what you even want to be when you grow up, for the most part. With the exception, I mean, basically, a lot of people change after you know this first stage of life. You wanted to be a cop or doctor. You might be doing something different by the time you get older. But a lot of times, a lot of your desires, a lot of your taste buds, your things that you actually like, is shaped during this time period. If you've had a traumatic experience in this period, a lot of times it can kind of stunt your growth. Um, Even I would even say a lot of times that's why people kind of act like a child. A lot of time people act like a child in their adult age is because some in a lot of cases they went through a childhood uh, event of trauma or periods of child trauma. Then they just basically it's kind of a delayed development. It's almost being stuck in childhood where that traumatic event occurred or events. So, um, like I said, this is a reminder and it's also something to think about for both men and women. Doing your, you know, basically day-to-day life, and your, self-improvement journey as well. Because basically, we typically have so much time, right? What are the statistics? The statistics of mortality, right? What is the current statistics about what 75 or 65 years of age? I don't even think it's 75. It's like 65 years of age, and during basically this coronavirus pandemic, the basic that age has shortened, the lifespan shortened. And in even African Americans, right, our mortality statistics are lower than the average, right, because of all of the things that we have to deal with, including health issues and lack of access to health care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So much going on, right? so much turmoil and chaos, right? So a lot of times we don't think about how we only have so much time on this earth, and then a lot of the decisions that we make, they impact what we're going to be able to do in these stages of life. One of the key points that I made was that women are taught that they're the same as a man. That the rouge of inequality or equality, as far as feminist rhetoric, right? We're all equal. We should all strive for equality. Well, that lie has women believe that they have just as much time as men, and they don't. And it's like I said in my other video, women have certain superpowers as they're born and gifted with, and men have certain superpowers or, you know, powers that they are benefit with, and one of those things that I'm going to be talking about further on is when it comes to what pretty much makes a woman, that womb. That womb has a date to it as far as its production quality, its actual ability to bring forth child. A lot of that is what I'm going to be talking about further on the stages of life, the four quarters of life. Okay, so basically, going back to being a parent, this time period, 0 to 15, is, I would say, the most challenging part, right? Because this is the time where you are actually, the infant times, the crying, changing diapers, feeding, waking up to tend to your child, dealing with all of that child care. And just in case people don't know, child care is very, very costly. It's very, very extremely costly. It's one of those things that it pretty much, it's a conversation that only parents really understand. A lot of people, if they're kind of like, don't really, they're not really around anyone with babies, it's a conversation that people have with other parents, that irregardless of race, even irregardless of class, it affects everyone. I remember, being working in corporate America and talking to people that made 3, 4, 5 times what I made, and hearing them talking about how they have to spend, $1,000 a week per child for daycare. You don't have grandparents or parents to assist you in childcare, or you don't have your uh, wife or girlfriend, whatever, able to stay home with the children. Childcare can be very, 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 very costly. Okay, it is like the equivalent of a private school as far as cost. I would even say more costly than a private school in a lot of cases. That's why a lot of times when you hear people, primarily single women, saying they have a challenge to work because they don't have childcare, it's a legitimate issue. Because you don't have childcare, it's almost impossible to actually go to work. And also, if you can't afford childcare, uh, it makes your income at a job have to be something that is even worth actually working the job. Because if it's not even putting a dent in childcare, it's no reason to actually work that job. So, um, you know, after that, after I guess like five, after the child gets five, you get some break because you can get the child to go to the local public school, or if you can afford private school, pretty much in kindergarten. That's pretty much the move from kindergarten on upwards. But basically, that period is obviously very, very extremely challenging. I would say 0 to 5. Um, but after that, you just have to pretty much kind of tend to kind of managing your children. A lot of things after they turn 5, they can pour a bowl of cereal. They could put their shoes on. They might need a little assistance here and there, but their stages of self-development kind of goes along. And then after 10 to 15 years old, they pretty much are developing into a teenager, going into being a young man, a young girl, to actually a young woman, right? So these are the important stages of actually becoming a pre-adult. A lot of times, um, those challenges of becoming a pre-adult, getting ready to actually become a citizen, being able to actually be able to join the military, possibly go into the workforce, actually being a productive part of society. These are the things that, basically you're either equipped for or unequipped for at this part. Because let's face it, after 15, you go into 16, 17, 18, boom, you're adult. You could be charged as an adult, go to prison, you could go to, get drafted to the military, you could join the military, you can go work for, corporate America. Usually at this age, pretty much dive into adulthood, right? So, yeah, this is a very, very critical stage as far as development. This can kind of make you or break you. That's why a lot of times people say, well, if um, if you don't get them this early, it's almost, you can't get them at all. Okay, so I'm gonna be moving along really, really quickly. 15 to 30, this is your first, pretty much tender years of being an adult. A lot of times um, we don't look at how important this period of time is, but this is your first time of actually being an adult. This is when you become an adult at this point. This is your first, you know, second quarter is you're an adult. You're expected to act as an adult, behave as an adult. Society looks at you like you're an adult, whether you want to cry about things or not. They don't care. You're an adult at this point. Whatever was not done from the stages of 0 to 15 is, doesn't really matter. We'll listen to the cries, but after the cries, get yourself up, pull yourself up, and walk tall, and carry on, because basically you are an adult. You know, you got to compete with all of the other adults. This is the first quarter that you are actually an adult. Okay, so a lot of times this is probably when the time you're gonna have the most fun and the most heartache, because you're gonna start getting bills and cell phone bills, and might have your first car payment, car problems, car issues, rent payments, you know, mortgages, probably once you go further into this quarter. You most likely this will be the time period that you have your first child yourself, uh, or even have you start your family. This is it. This is the time that you are the first adult. I mean, it's probably the first time when you start looking at everybody else, like you start calling people old, ninjas or whatever, and you start kind of having a disdain for older adults because you probably look at them as being more established, or failing you because you were failed between the 0 and 15 years. And you see how tough it is during this time period, or you might even see how easy it could be. And the other people that are older than you, that are in the third and fourth quarter, that they're not really taking advantages of new technology, new ways of doing things and stuff like that. Might be a valid point, but this is a period where you're gauging all of that, right? And then you become the old Negro in this stage. You start becoming that old Negro. This is the stage I'm in, third quarter. Okay. You move from the second quarter, your first years, tender years as an adult. Now you go into the second phase of adulthood, the third quarter, where at this point you probably have children. Your children are, you know, either preteens, or becoming preteens. If not, you might be towards the, 40 year, closer to the 40-year range. You might be a early grandfather or grandmother, right? Now, this is the time where this is actually what basically Kevin Samuels calls the danger zone, right? Because this is the part where women start falling off, as far as start kind of falling behind in life, as far as the dating market. This is pass or fail for women, and a lot of times women don't think of it that way. That's why I'm doing this video. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. A lot of times women are just kind of stuck into a point where they think that they actually going to be the hot girl forever. They're going to be able to get flued out forever. They're able to, have their pick of men forever, and even make bad decisions and be able to recover. Okay, this is a reminder to you, basically, that I told you that you have more time. They're basically sending you off.
Message.
So basically, this is the time where if you don't get it right during this time, you could forget about it. As far as a woman, like I say, it goes back to superpowers. One of the superpowers that men have is they actually can start a family at this point, or even into the later point, right? At this particular stage, which is the third quarter of life, it is past or after this stage is pretty much, it's just science and medicine after this, in miracles, um, to actually rear a child for women. And like I say, anybody telling you anything different is trying to sell you a course and trying to send you off. Um, This also is the stage for men where our sexual health starts to decline. You start to, basically start to need a little extra help, need to take some type of pill or something to actually have some type of sexual life. Your health starts to decline. Um, I'll be honest, a lot of people that I went to high school with, not I don't want to say a lot, but people, this is that to see a lot of my peer group endemic with the COVID-19 outbreak. But even before then, there's people get um go towards the fourth quarters in life, right? Fourth quarter in life is 45 to 60 years old. You become officially an old, Negro, whatever, ninja. Trying not to cuss, but the thing is that you are pretty much, this is the third phase of adulthood, okay? And this is where a lot of people start kind of, more people start fading away. I don't got too long to get to this phase, fortunately. Um, I'm able to even say that, but yeah, I'm not too far from this, and some people that are, right, people that are in this phase is early boomers and late Xers. So basically, yeah, I mean, you've been alive for a long period of time, and this is where women become official spinsters. The only possibilities for child rearing is unless you're highly fertile or you basically need medicine to save your life, basically, of being able to have some type of child rearing. What's going on? And yeah, shout out to Alonzo Hall, your financial investor as well as insurance salesman. Reach out to him because basically one thing about these stages of life, you definitely need insurance. And each stages of this life that I'm going to be talking about, these quarters of life, I would say especially second to third and definitely fourth. This is where also you want to plan your legacy. You want to plan your legacy. You actually are mostly, the statistics. You are up in the room. I hear about, dating options and stuff like that. Um, at this point, you your dating options is basically going to go see God real soon. You be you almost have to look at it like, man, you better take whoever's alive, whoever has a pulse at this point. I mean, basically, yeah, you got close to being a AARP membership, the Gray Hair Club, and there's some outliers. Of course, is you eat healthy. Primarily, if you take a active life of you know veganism, eat fruit, eat vegetables, change your diet, you know, fast. You can reverse age. You can reverse it's critical aging, right? You can't do that. A lot of people don't because it's very, very difficult to do because we get addicted to those high meat, high protein diets, high diets, right? And one of the things about fasting, a lot of people can't fast. They can't stop doing anything. They just people are so addictive.
It just kind of, they don't have the will to actually do things, but it is things you can do to protect it. A lot of times, like people who age fairly well, depending on how they live, um, I guess genetics, say. So it is helpful if you eat better and you drink clean quality water and you exercise and take care of yourself. Basically, you could live long. Um, After this period is basically overtime. Okay, after after pretty much this period is overtime. After you reach age 60, you're in overtime. Okay, and every day is pretty much a blessing.
So in overtime, you basically have reached the age past 60. And in this time period, you basically are statistically in a age group where you're defying statistics. You're pretty much past going past 60 to 65 and 70. Every day is pretty much you're grateful to be alive. You wake up, you know, at least some people do that. I mean, a lot of times people, once they get into overtime, what happens? They become the old crappy guy or crappy woman. uh in a lot of cases, you have some type of health issue, typically, because let's face it, modern medicine pretty much just is a system based off of trying to make as much capital as possible. So you might have, it's typical that someone has, even in the fourth and third quarter, you start, having like five different, six different medications they take every single day, and you it's very common, let's just face it, that people are in a nursing home at this stage, right? Or some type of assisted living facility. Um, One thing that you got to look at real estate. A lot of times, people don't really look into real estate outside of just housing. They don't look at the commercial aspect of it. A lot of people build senior citizen living spaces based on the demographics, based off of the future demographics of a particular area, primarily county based area. If they see a particular group is like, let's just say, in third or fourth quarter, primarily fourth quarter, they're gonna basically start building a bunch of assisted living facilities, because typically people like to be close to where they were living at a particular time. And yeah, if you start to see a bunch of assisted living facilities, 9 times out of 10, that particular area has a aging population that they pretty much are prospecting, that is an age group of like 45 plus, and they're going to need assisted living, and it's already an aging population that's already in overtime. So that kind of gives them a way to just kind of get capital off of the aging population, right? So in this time period, people are thinking legacy. They're thinking, what type of will they will pass on, or what type of estate they will pass on. They have to close out their business or sell their business or pass on their business to their children, which child or children will take over the business in their stead. Uh, a lot of times people in this group also, their peers, a lot of them are not living anymore. A lot of times people in this age group, they've survived a lot of their friends. A lot of times my uncle reminds me that a lot of his friends are no longer even living. He doesn't even really have any friends left. Uh by proxy of they've already, passed away. So this is also an age where, people kind of start to retire, obviously, and collect pensions if they have, or what's common now is the 401ks, which that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, people start retiring, or they'll retire from one job and then work another job, just so they can have some extra income. And this is the part where women get kind of angry, because when I talked about superpowers, basically, even in overtime, men can have healthy children. Sometimes some people will say it's selfish to have a child in overtime, or just let's just say past the age of 50. It's kind of selfish because you pretty much statistically know that it's a pretty strong chance that you are not going to be in around when your child becomes an adult. And even if you are around, most likely you're not going to be able to really keep up with your young adult like you would want to. But they are quite a few outliers. I never forget being younger and seeing some of my friends' fathers. They were like old as hell. I mean, I'm talking like probably 60 years old, and then I was a teenager. So it is some outliers, pretty much. It's a lot of people that are delaying age, and I mean delaying child rearing to a later age. So this is going to be a statistic that's going to be probably higher. Um, Women can pretty much forget about, they've after the fourth quarter, pretty much is pretty much over with as far as having a child of your own. It starts to get cosmic, really super extraterrestrial sci-fi as far as anything of such after the fourth quarter. So in overtime is pretty much, yeah, if you don't have any children, you don't have any children, other than the children that you've adopted, or the dog that you have, or the colony of cats that you support. So yeah, a lot of times women actually they become bitter in this area of life, because they might have not had a child, or had any children, or they regret the fact that they chose their career over taking dating and mating serious. uh it's and then they start to realize, they've been sold a bill of goods that's basically came back DOA. And it becomes a situation where, yeah, you have women that become the bitter old crone, the woman that is very vengeful and hateful, and wants to have hate and vitriol for anybody that comes around them. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times in this age range of overtime, that's when it becomes at its pinnacle. So um a lot of things as far as your burial, you know discussions are started to have be had at this point. And you just pretty much every day it's like, wow, I'm still alive. Some people that are married or coupled up or whatever, they pretty much know that either they're gonna stick together. It's becomes a competition who's gonna die first. I guess. I mean, it's situations like that. You rarely see the happy couples. Usually, a lot of times it's like if the people couldn't stand each other, they actually it becomes a heightened situation of not being able to stand each other in this age range. And if people are not coupled up, they they pretty much are taking care of their grandchildren, um or taking care of their children. So yeah, this is an edited version obviously of this portion because the other video, I had a low battery and I was running out of juice, and I was in a hotel room. So hopefully this is insightful for you.